Good morning, Canada. My name is Franz Brandenberger. I am a trade commissioner at the Canadian Trade Office in Belo Horizonte, state of Minas Gerais, Brazil. I look after the mining sector in this country. The trade commissioner service is present in over 160 countries around the world. And our mandate is to promote Canadian exports of products, services, and technologies by providing 4 core services mainly: preparation for international markets, assessment of market potential, identifying qualified contacts, and solving problems and providing additional services. Today, we are going to have a nice chat with Mr. Beck Nader from B&A Mining Solutions about the decommissioning of mining dam process in Brazil. Beck is a mine engineer from the Polytechnic School from the University of São Paulo. His master in mineral technology from the Federal University of Minas Gerais, and doctor in mineral engineering from the University of São Paulo as well. He's a fellow of the Australian Institute of Geoscientists and a qualified professional of mineral resources and reserves. He's a CP and QP, a competent and qualified person according to the international mining codes. Beck Nader worked at Serrana Mining Company from Promon Group. He founded and directed the companies Linux Geosystems do Brasil, Gencom Software do Brasil, SRK Consulting do Brasil, and Ground Probe do Brasil. With Ground Probe do Brasil, for instance, in 2007, he introduced slope monitoring systems using radar systems in Brazil at Vale, Carajás mining pit up north in the country. With the companies Linux Geosystems and Gencom Software, he introduced graphic systems for geological modeling and mine planning in Brazil. In 2009, he deployed micromine PTI technology through B&A Mining Solutions, prioritizing industry and education. He currently develops works, courses, and lectures for the declaration of mineral resources and reserves in Brazil and abroad. He is professor at the Department of Mine Engineering at the Federal University of Minas Gerais and senior consultant at B&A Mining Solutions. In 2019, he was awarded as Personality of the Year by Brazil Mineral Magazine in the category of Mineral Engineering and Technology. So, good morning, Beck. I'm glad to have you here today with us. Just to give you a short scenario, upstream mining dams are no longer allowed in Brazil, mainly because of the 2 major accidents we had in this country in 2015 in Mariana and in 2019 in Brumadinho. So based on ANM's legislation or information, the National Mining Agency, we do have 899 mining dams across the country. A total of 850 dams have certified safe levels. However, 49 of them are still at risk. As per the Brazilian federal legislation from 2020, these mining dams should be decharacterized by February of this current year. To date, we got only 4 mining dams that have been decharacterized effectively. So, alleging lack of time, technical difficulties, or excessive areas, some mining companies operating in Brazil are appealing for deadlines that could drag out until 2035. So, could you please give us a quick overview on the Brazilian mining sector, the decommissioning process itself, and potential opportunities, please?
It is my pleasure, Franz, to be here with you today. I'd like to send my congratulations for your work, for the work of the Trade Commissioner Officer here in Belo Horizonte. And
thank you, Beck.
A big hello to our friends in Canada, a country that I love so much. Had the opportunity to visit dozens of times and worked with those, Canadian companies. So very happy to be back with this interview with you. Well, as you know, Franz, Brazil is one of the 5 largest mineral producers in the world, and the sector represents an important amount of the country's GDP. In 2020, Brazil's GDP was approximately $1.5 trillion US. At the same time, the revenues from the mineral sector reached approximately $39 billion. If we take the industrial portion of the GDP, of the Brazilian GDP, 17.65% of the country's GDP was related to the industrial GDP. And of the industrial GDP, the mineral sector accounts for approximately 15.3% of the industrial GDP. So it is a significant amount of the industrial GDP and therefore of the country's GDP. If we bear in mind that during the pandemic, the Brazilian mineral industry and the agro industry were very active, we can say that the participation of the Brazilian mineral industry was even bigger. So when we get updated data, we will probably see a bigger impact of the Brazilian mineral industry. So it is really important. The importance, if we analyze our daily needs in terms of food, in terms of construction, in terms of electronics, in terms of transportation, we can see the importance of the mineral industry everywhere in the world. And here in Brazil, it's not different. It is really important. But the challenges are also very important. When we talk about the upstream dams that you mentioned, the decommissioning of them, this was really driven and augmented by the events in Mariana and Brumadinho, unfortunately. And on a par, we also have the perception from the population about the mineral industry and the mineral sector. So our image as a sector is not very good among the population. So that is not only a big effort in terms of this decommissioning of the upstream dams, but also in the application of advanced technology and best practices to mitigate this perception of the population. So nowadays, the word of the moment is ESG, environmental, social, and governance principles. So the majority of the companies are already engaged in ESG principle application. We have very good examples in the mineral sector already. There is a term used in Brazil that is green sequencing, green mine planning sequencing. That means bringing back waste to mined pits, a proper rehabilitation of the degraded areas, revegetation, all this combined together is called green sequencing and is already being applied. So when we talk about the challenges that you mentioned for these companies that are requesting more time to solve this problem of the upstream dams. I understand it. I think it is a huge task. You have challenges in terms of modeling this. What is really what they are dealing with internally? How is this mass behaving under the surface of the dams? In order to decommission that, you will need civil work, engineering work with machinery, and this will move and this will affect the stabilized areas. So you have to know exactly how to do it in order this is done safely. So I think engineering challenges, modeling challenges, artificial intelligence, monitoring are areas of opportunities for application in these things.
So, thank you, but since upstream dams have been banned from the Brazilian mining sector, and the fact that we are struggling against unfeasible deadlines for the decommissioning of all existing dams at risk in this country, do you see any perspective of resuming of the activities in the sector?
You mean when this would restart?
Yes.
Yeah, I think as we discussed before, it's really an effort going forward. Not that the companies do not want it sooner than later, you know, but this initiative comprises a very huge task, both in terms of engineering, technology, and execution. I must say and recognize that the Brazilian engineering capabilities, especially in the fields of mining, geotechnics, and civil engineering in general, are very high. But the challenges, this particular task of the dams is also very high, especially because the expertise needed is high, and modeling and simulation tools need to be applied in advance to assist these projects. And for the execution of the decommissioning activities for the dams,
Yeah. So we are talking about engineering services, geomatics, geophysics, airborne surveys, automation, artificial intelligence solutions, all of that could come from abroad, that could come from Canada, in order to help the local industry to surpass that problems we are facing right now with upstream dams. So knowing the fact that we are going to have Expo Zibram, our major mining trade show that will take place this coming September, what would you suggest to those Canadian companies willing to do business in Brazil to do in order to enter the market?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I agree with you. I think Canadian engineering firms are in general very capable, and the ones with proven experience in decommissioning of this type of dams would have an important opportunity here in Brazil. That's for sure, especially if they associate with recognized local leading consulting houses.
Yeah.
Better understand the local business environment, requirements, legislation, taxation, and logistics of the affected areas, because Brazil is a very huge country, it's a continental country. Also, the cooperation would allow the Canadian companies to make use of very competent local engineering partners and get a streamlined cost structure for the end user, making or allowing the combined solution to be very competitive or more competitive. And the fields, as you mentioned, I think that are prone to receive this type of Canadian inputs would be geomathematics, geophysics, airborne surveys, modeling technology, artificial intelligence systems, and also engineering execution from the companies that have already performed these tasks in the past. And as far as exposure is concerned, I would suggest them to make use of the Canadian Trade Office in Belo Horizonte to get exposed and presented directly to the local customers, local consulting firms, and if possible, to book some visits to end customers. This would be a good opportunity to start discussions, to present their capabilities, and also to take the opportunity to meet with potential local partners.
That's important as well.
Yeah, I think this would be good to start a good relationship with partners, with customers. And I think that using the Canadian Trade Office would be ideal for them because they could streamline the costs. They could do it in an organized way from an entity like yours that know the market, that has the contacts and know the customers. That's what I think they would have to do.
Beck, I would love to continue on this conversation with you, but we are running out of time. So thank you very much for sharing your views with us today, and hope to have more and more Canadian engineering firms, software houses, equipment and services suppliers coming to do business in Brazil. So thank you very much. And for those interested to discuss further with Beck Nader from B&A Mining Solutions Company, please get to me and I will connect you with Beck Nader. Thank you, Beck. Have a nice day. Thank you, Canada. Bye-bye.
Friends, it is always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you very much for these discussions, very interesting discussions. And my best regards to all the friends in Canada.
My pleasure. Thank you, Beck. Bye-bye.